A terrifying case of human depravity. In 1999, a tugboat crossing the Vistula River came to a stop. When the captain saw that something white and smelly had become stuck in one of the blades. Katarzyna Zowada, age 23, did not appear for her scheduled psychiatric appointment in Wałęcha, Poland, in November 1998. Since the death of her father in 1996, she had been undergoing treatment for depression. Before Katarzyna's appointment, her mother was waiting to meet her daughter, but when she never showed there, she started to worry, especially when Katarzyna didn't come home later that night. When her mother attempted to report her daughter Katarzyna missing to the local police station, the cops only instructed her to wait for her daughter to come back. Hello viewers, today in this video, I will tell you the harrowing and heartbreaking case of Katarzyna Zowada. So, without wasting our time, let's start the video. In January 1999, a little more than a year later, an elk pusher tugboat crossing a portion of the Vistula River came to a stop when its operator, Miroslaw M., noticed something stuck in the blade. Miroslaw then proceeded to open the propeller hatch only to be hit with a rancid odor as he gazed down at a pale, tangled mass. With help from the rest of the crew, they began to untangle the mass, and to their horror found a human ear attached to it. The pale, tangled mass the tugboat crew found was examined by forensics and was determined to be human skin. A DNA analysis found that the skin once belonged to Katarzyna. After examining the skin, it was discovered that Katarzyna's head and limbs were also severed from her body. The initial impression was that the propellers had severed the body, leaving only a chunk of skin behind. The skin had been flayed for mere 2 thighs, with one additional slash running from the shoulder blade to just below one of her breasts. The discovery was even more horrific because the skin was largely undamaged, which contradicted the theory that her body was trapped inside one of the propellers. The manner in which the skin was taken out suggested that it was probably prepared so the killer could use it as a bodysuit. Several days after the harrowing discovery, on January 14th, Katarzyna's right leg, a section of her buttock, and a few items of clothing were found. Further up the Vistula River, no other remains have ever been located. It was only in 2012, once advances in forensics had progressed, that the Wrocław Medical University was able to create a 3D model detailing the injuries that had been inflicted on the victim. After Katarzyna's remains were discovered by a special team of officers known as the X-Files, forensic experts were able to determine that the murderer had inflicted severe pain on Katarzyna's neck, armpit, and thighs with a sharp object, causing her to bleed to death. In May of 1999, the Forensic Medicine Unit in Krakow received the body of a man who had been decapitated, and the head had been scalped. The killer, his son. The police were informed of the murder by the killer's elderly grandfather, who called to say he believed his grandson, Vladimir W., had murdered his own father. Truth came to light that Vladimir had been seen wearing his father's skinned face, stretched over his own as a grotesque mask. Naturally, this put Vladimir W. on the police radar for being Katarzyna's killer. The police at the time were hoping that they had caught Katarzyna's killer, as not only had the method of mutilation been similar, but Vladimir had attended the same university as Katarzyna. Both had studied the same psychology course, but Vladimir had started his course a year earlier than Katarzyna and had dropped out before he finished the course. This weak connection was not enough to support the accusation, and Vladimir was never charged with her murder, but he was sentenced to 25 years for the murder of his father. DNA was found on Katarzyna's skin, but when it was analyzed against other suspects and ran through a list of sex offenders, the DNA sample proved no matches, subsequently rendering the case cold. It was 19 years later, before the police were finally able to make an arrest for the murder and mutilation of Katarzyna. A cold case team of the Polish law enforcement, known as Archive X, exhumed Katarzyna's remains, and they were able to retrieve traces of a rare plant, which ultimately led to them accurately pinpointing where Katarzyna may have been murdered. On October 4, 2017, police arrested 52-year-old Robert Janczewski. He was former person of interest in 1999 and fit the psychological profile coined by the FBI. Janczewski apparently repeatedly visited Katarzyna's grave and was known to harass women. Janczewski had also previously worked in a dissecting lab and at the Krakow Institute of Zoology, where he would observe the process of preparing animal skins. However, Janczewski's role at the institute was terminated the day after he had killed all the rabbits during his shift. The police acted on his arrest after they received a letter from the suspect's friend, but the contents of this letter have never been released to the public. The trial began on February 12, 2020, and over 800 files that had been put together over the years were brought into the courtroom. Investigators claimed that Janczewski tortured the Katarzyna, inflicting wounds with a hard object, causing numerous fractures, as well as stab wounds and multiple lacerations. Experts even suggested that Janczewski was inspired by the character Buffalo Bill from the infamous Silence of the Lambs movie, who was a serial killer who preyed upon women and removed their skin. As this part of the trial was not open to the public, it is not known what defense was given for Janczewski. In 2022, Robert Janczewski was charged with aggravated murder with particular cruelty and was sentenced to life in prison for the murder and mutilation of Katarzyna Zowada. However, Janczewski and his family claim that he is innocent and that the case against him was based purely on circumstantial evidence. Viewers, this was the harrowing and heartbreaking case of Katarzyna Zowada. Viewers, what you can say about this story, tell me in the comment box. Thanks for watching. If you found this story gripping, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more chilling true crime stories. And remember, if you or anyone you know is battling dark thoughts, don't hesitate to reach out to a mental health professional. Until next time, take care of yourself, and I meet you in a new interesting video.